Hi guys and welcome to another incredible game played between the engines and played between one of the most powerful engines, or let's say the best engine, the best chess engine in the world, Stockfish, against the artificial intelligence Leela Chess Zero. And as any game to these engines, we will see so beautiful, so exciting and so different games. So without wasting any time, let's get started. Leela 0 with the white pieces, Stockfish with the black pieces. Leela 0 opened this game by d4, queen's pawn opening, and here Stockfish played f5 to that move. And they call to this the Dutch defense. Now here the most played moves is g3, our c4 with d5 idea, our bishop to f4. But instead all of these, Leela 0 here played e4, and they call to this the stanchion gambit, alright? In the Dutch defense. So e4 the idea when you capture, then I will play knight to c3 attacking the pawn on the e4 square. So knight to f6 protecting the pawn, and now bishop to g5 played here by Leela 0, putting a pressure on the defender of the pawn on the e4 square and also developing the bishop. Now here g6 played by Stockfish. If you try to play something like d5 to keep protecting the pawn, simply I can capture on the f6, and when you recapture by the e, then I have queen to h5 strong move. Check, and then I will take back my pawn. Not just this, but if you play g6 and this is the best move here, then I have queen capture on d5, and after queen capture and knight capture, now I'm attacking your pawn on the c7 with fork on between your rook and your king, and I'm attacking your pawn on the f6 with fork between your king and your pawn. And I mean, the engine here says that the white has a nice advantage. I mean, because the best move here is bishop to e6, but then I have knight capture on f6 with the check, king to f7, and then knight capture on e4, and by this the white here is up to pawn. So for that reason, after bishop to g5, you cannot keep protecting the pawn, so here simply g6 played now by Stockfish. I want to develop my bishop, and now Leela 0 here played bishop to c4. Leela 0 said, I can capture the pawn whenever I want, so let's develop our bishop on this weak diagonal. Alright, bishop to g7 played here, knight g to e2, developing the knight, and now c6 played here by Stockfish. Now, there is something that you have to know about the Dutch defense. In the Dutch defense, you're pushing f5 against d4, alright, or against c4. The problem by f5, now by f5 you're grabbing a space on the king side, but the problem is that this f5 move weakening this diagonal, and probably let's say the Dutch defense players are castling into the king side. So this bishop is so strong piece on this diagonal, okay, on this weak diagonal. So the black's plan here is trying to build a pawn structure on the light squares by c6 and d5, to covering the light squares and to protecting the light squares and protecting the weaknesses on the king side, alright? So here after c6, now c6, the idea is that I want to push d5 to build a nice wall on the light squares, okay? So here after c6, but the problem by this move that now no longer you can protect develop your knight on into the c6 square. So here after c6, d5 played by Leela Chess Zero. What's the idea by this move? The idea here, when you capture by the pawn, then I will recapture by the bishop. If you capture by the knight, then I will recapture by the queen. And if you take a look at this position, we will see that the white developed 4 pieces, and he able to castle into both sides, while the black not just developed his bishop, and all of his pieces is sleeping on the back rank, and the engine he says that the white has nice advantage. Also the black cannot castle because the white preventing that. So for that reason, capturing is not the best move here. So here after d5, e6 played now. The idea that if you capture, then I will push d5, attacking your bishop, and when you move your bishop away, then I have simply bishop capture on e6. By this bishop, I covered this diagonal, and by this wall, I protected the light squares. So by that, I mean the black here who has the advantage here, because the black is up a pawn, and also the black has a nice space on the center. So after e6, knight capture on e4 played here by Leela 0. An amazing position actually. Knight capture on e4, there's too many things here to explain. Here Stockfish castled. Now the first thing here, what happened if Stockfish captured on the d5? And what happened is that simply here you're playing knight to d6 check. If you go into the f8, alright, then simply, if you play something like knight to f8, then simply I can move my bishop back into the d3, and if you take a look at this position, of course the white here has a nice advantage. I will castle on the next move, knight to f4 and queen to e2 with rook to e1, and I'll have a nice pressure on the e file, while the black pieces is sleeping, as we said, on the back rank, and the knight here is so strong on the d6 also this bishop is pinning this knight. So for that reason, king to f8 is not the best move. However, here even if you play something like king to e7, that move doesn't work too, because simply here I have knight capture on the c8, alright? After knight and after queen capture on the c8, simply I can move my bishop back, and now you are not able to castle anymore. I will castle in the next move, and I will bring my rook into the e file on your king's file, so you have, to protect your king, or to shift him from the center or from the middle of the board, and the engine he says that the white has nice advantage at this position. So here after knight capture on e4, capturing by the e is not the best move. If you capture by the c now, then I have bishop capture on d5, and this is the best, the beautiful move here. If you capture by the pawn, then simply I will capture on the f6, and you recapture by the bishop, then I have queen capture on d5. And okay, now here the white sacked piece, but the white here has a nice advantage, because I'm threatening knight to d6 and queen to f8 checkmate. Example, if you play knight to c6, then knight to d6 comes. If you play king to f8, then queen to f7 will be a checkmate. So the only move here is king to e7, but simply here I can castle into the queen side, preparing to bringing the other rook into the game. And look at this position, rooks on the e, also the d files, knight on the d6, queen on the d5, the knight comes into the f5, into the f4 in the next move. The engine here says that the white has nice advantage here. So after here Stockfish castle, so for that reason Stockfish castle, you cannot capture by the c or by the e. So after Stockfish castle, here d6 played by Leela 0. A beautiful move actually. The idea by this is make these pieces, let's say, paralyze it, alright? Or not able the black to develop these pieces on the queen side. And this is the idea. Now you cannot move this pawn anymore. If you play something like c6, it will take a time actually to play c6 and develop your knight, c5 sorry, and develop your knight into the c6 square. And we will see in the game how Leela 0 did not give the black the time to develop these pieces on the queen side. So here after d6, queen to a5 check played now. Now here if you take here at this position, the knight on the e5 is unprotected, but the problem here, e4 sorry, is unprotected, but the problem if you capture it, then you will lose your queen. So for that reason, queen, sorry, what's happening? Sorry about that. Okay, now if you capture, you will lose your queen. So here queen to a5, no longer my queen on the d8, so simply I'm attacking your knight. So bishop to d2, not giving the white, the black to the time to capture on the e4 by attacking the queen. Queen to e5 played here, and now knight capture on f6. And now queen capture on f6. And here any normal player will castle, or will play bishop to e3, alright? Any normal human or any normal player. But because here the black is threatening a checkmate on the f2 square. But instead all of this, Leela 0 here played an amazing idea actually, and it is f4. Now, f4, what the idea by this move? There is three main ideas by this move. The first idea is grabbing a space on the king side. The second idea is preventing the checkmate. And the third idea, we will see it in the next moves. So here after f4, now this queen on the f6 threatening a checkmate, also attacking the pawn on the b2 square. Stockfish accepted the gift, and he captured the pawn on the b2 square. And now rook to b1. Leela 0 said capture what you want to capture. Capture what you want to capture as your pieces. While your pieces on the queen side will still on that side. So take what you want to take, my dear Stockfish. Stockfish accepted that gift, and Stockfish, okay, said, well, thank you so much. Queen back to f6, and here Leela 0 castled now. Now, queen to f5 here played by Stockfish, activating the queen. King to h1, prophylactic idea, because here queen to f5, the threat was queen to c5 check, and capturing the bishop. So king to h1 played, and now queen to c5. Now, the threat was queen to queen to c5 check and capturing the bishop. But the surprise here that Leela 0 sacked that bishop. However, Leela 0 played king to h1, but Leela 0 after queen to c5 sacked that bishop, and Leela 0 played the brilliant move of this game. And so this move is the reason which made me bring this game or share this game on the channel. Here after queen to c5, Leela 0 pushed f5. Incredible move by Leela Chess 0. Now what's the idea about this move? First here, Stockfish accepted that sacrifice, and Stockfish here captured on the c4. Now here, after capturing on the c4, the idea about this move is, as we said, in the Dutch defense, if you're playing against the Dutch defense, so you have to weak the light squares as you can. So after queen capture on c4, here rook to f4 played now. Now here, if you capture on the g6, that move doesn't work actually, because simply I can exchange on the f1 square, and the problem here that the black is exchanging the pieces, and the white need that pieces, to attack the king, because if you don't have pieces, so you don't have counterattacks, so all your sacrifices, just gone for nothing. So here, after queen capture on c4, you capturing is not the best move here. So first rook to f4, attacking the queen, and after queen to d5, now f capture on g6. The problem here, if you capture by the f4, this move does not come with a check as a rook capture on f1. So after rook capture on f4, if you capture by the, rook capture on f4, then you will give the white the time to destroy your king side and to destroy your light squares by f capture on h7. After king capture, then simply have knight capture, and my queen comes into the h5 in the next move when this queen moves. Example, queen capture on d6 or something like that. So after f capture on g6, capturing on the f4 is not the best move. So here h capture on g6, and now rook to g4. I don't want to exchange the rooks. Also I'm attacking your pawn on the, or let's say your light square's pawn on the g6 square. So here rook to f6 protecting the pawn, and now knight to c3 played here. Knight to c3 attacking the queen, and now queen to h5. If you try to play something like queen capture on d6, then simply have queen to e5. Queen to e4, attacking your queen and also the defender of the pawn on the g6 square. So here the best move is playing queen to h5, because you have to keep protecting the pawn, because the white will attack the defender in the next move, and this is actually what Leela 0 did here. Knight to e4 attacking the rook back to f7 played here, and now knight to g3 attacking the queen again. And now Stockfish here want to keep protecting the pawn, so here Stockfish here played queen to h7, and actually this is the best move here for Stockfish. And after queen to h7, here simply Leela 0 played bishop to g5. An amazing move, an amazing idea. But the idea that I want to play bishop to h4 to trap your queen. How you will prevent that? There is no way to do that. Actually, there is way, by playing something like bishop to e5. But the idea that if you do not lose the queen, so you will lose the game. So here after, let's say bishop to e5, then simply I'll play queen to d3, alright? This is the idea. Now, let's say you played anything, like, let's say c5, you want to develop your knight. Then simply have rook to h4, and when you move your queen, then simply have queen to h6. The idea by this move on the d3, now I'm putting a pressure on your g5 square. I'm attacking your queen. When you move your queen into the f6, let's say, then rook to f1 comes, developing the rook with tempo. Look at this, I developed my rook on the h5 with tempo on your queen. I developed my bishop on the h6 with tempo on your queen, and now my rook with tempo on your queen. If you want to keep protecting that queen, so simply queen capture on g6 will be deadly. It will be a checkmate. King to h8, and now bishop to g5 check. The only move is covering by the rook, and queen capture on the h7 will be a checkmate. So bishop to g5, bishop to e5. It's not, the best move here if you want to keep protecting that queen. So here simply Stockfish sacked that queen, because you have nothing else to do. c5 played here, rook to h4 played now, queen capture, and now bishop capture on h4. Now if you do some math here, we will see that the black materially, both engines materially is equal, but positionally is not equal, because this piece is still sleeping on the back rank. Knight to c6 trying to developing the knight, but now bishop to g4 attacking the pawn on the g6 square, which it is so important pawn, because if I capture that pawn, so I will destroy whole of the king side, and your king now will be in real trouble after that. So knight to e5 protecting the pawn, and now queen to h4, queen to a4, shifting the queen from the king side into the queen side. So after queen to a4, now the idea by this move is not all of the black develop that bishop. Why? Because now this move cannot go to anywhere. This pawn, cannot go to anywhere. And if you try to play something like b6, you want to develop my bishop, and this is actually what Stockfish did here, then simply I can capture on the b6. You cannot capture, because if you do that, then you'll lose your rook. So, what's going on? So after rook capture on b6, knight to c4 played here, attacking the rook, and if you capture my knight, then you will lose your rook. Instead that, so here rook back to b1 played, I'm attacking your knight. So knight capture on d6, but this move comes with a price that giving the the g6 square, sorry. Queen to g4, because now no longer the knight controlling or defending that pawn. Bishop to b, sorry, not bishop, yeah, bishop to b7, developing the bishop, and here simply queen capture on g6. And now bishop to c6, developing the bishop, controlling or protecting the d6 pawn. h3 played now, giving the h2 square for the king for any back rank checks in the future. And now knight to f5, developing the knight. But here Alpha Leela 0, he simply said let's exchange the pieces. Knight capture on f5, pawn capture on f5, and here simply rook to e1. The threat is rook to e7 with a pressure on the 7th rank. So bishop to e4, preventing rook to e7's idea, and now simply Leela 0, he sacked the exchange. Rook capture on e4, pawn capture on e4, queen capture on e4, attacking the rook to b8, and now bishop to g3, attacking the rook again, rook to b2, and here bishop, queen to c4, sorry. Now if you take a look at this position, materially, both engines is equal, but positionally, the white here is better. Why? First, the white here has two connected passed pawns on the queen side. The other thing here, this queen is much better than the double rooks. Why? Because the double rooks here do not working together, and also the rook here is spinning, and the queen is so active, while the rook, as I said, do not working together and do not working anything. You cannot move this rook, and this rook on the b2 do not do any, does not do anything. Because the pawn is here protected. So after queen to c4, here bishop to d4 played, king to h2, and now king to g7. And guys, this game is so long game. Now we are in the move on the move 40, but this game is 126 move. So I'll skip this. This moves quickly. H4 played here. The rook to b6, c3, attack the bishop. Bishop back to f6. Queen capture on c5. Rook to e7 played here. Bishop to f2, putting a pressure on the rook. Rook to c7, c6, attacking the rook. Queen to d5. Bishop to e5 check. G3, rook to d6, queen to c5, rook d to e6, bishop to d4, bishop capture, pawn capture, king to f6, king to h3, and then the game continue with here as we saying a4, making passed pawn on the queen side, queen to b3, rook to d6, rook to b4, rook to c6, rook to b3. I will continue the game like this, attacking the rook, moving the rook, queen to rook to c6, queen to f5 check, king to e7, queen to g5. Let's skip all of these like this. Alright, it's so long game. It's engines game, so it will be so long game. Queen to c5, attacking the rook, rook to b6, and now queen to c7, rook to d6, played here, and now h5. G5, rook to b3, king to g4, rook d to b6, and here simply Leela 0 sacked the queen because you cannot stop these pawns. Rook capture on b6, and now g6, king to a5, g7, rook to b1, king to f5. And here h6, rook, king to b4, h7, rook capture on g7, and now simply h8 and queen, attacking the rook, queen to g5, queen to h6, rook to g2, and now king capture on d5, rook to g8, and the game here continue it a little bit, rook to d6, king to b5 here, d7, and now rook to d4. Now here it's a funny thing actually, to sacking the pawn. Now the human here will work to make this pawn passed, like something, let's say like king to d3 or something like that, but sacking the pawn actually is not thing that the humans will do, because this end game here, rook to d4 played, king to e3, and rook capture on d6, d7, sorry. This end game is winning for the white, but it's so hard for the white to win this game, alright? And actually, if the white if the white here do not know how he has what he has to do at this position, so probably this game will end by draw. So you have to know this end game before you going into it. So here rook capture on d7, queen to e6, but it's engine who playing this. So this winning is this position is a clear winning for the white here. So king to d4 played, rook to c7, and then the game continued as we are saying here, queen to d5, king to b7, and king to a5, queen to e5 check, king to b4, queen to a4 check. I will grab your rook in the next move, and this is actually what happened. And this here, Leela 0 simply checkmate Stockfish on the move 126. So yeah, this was the video. Hope you really enjoyed it. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to smash the like and subscribe. Also, you can check out my previous videos. There is, I shared 4 or 5 games between the engines on this channel. So we can watch it, and also, so yeah, nothing else. See you in the next videos.